yeah, so in creating anything, in doing anything in life that you're generating for yourself, like starting a new company, learning to play the guitar, learning to write a song, getting fit, there's a lot of talk about willpower, and discipline. Basically, these words are generally interchangeable, and mindset too kind of gets in there, and so they all sort of become this big blob, and people use them interchangeably and think of them interchangeably, but I don't really want to do that. I don't like to do that because I believe that willpower and mindset are two different things, really. So, just the real definition of willpower, I'm going to read it off the screen here, is from the American Psychological Association. The definition is the ability to resist short term temptations in order to meet long term goals. So, the ability to resist short term temptations in order to reach long term goals. So, willpower, we think of this thing, it's like, oh, I got to have the will. Like it's this thing we got to like gather up to inside ourselves to do something, right? And oftentimes it can feel that way, like practicing the guitar, you might not want to go practice your scales. But you know that you need to because you want to do this other thing. You want to be able to solo over some tune. So you need to practice your scales. So you gather up the willpower to do that. And that's great. And, in one day, we can actually have quite a lot of willpower to do things. But what they've found out about willpower is that willpower is a finite resource, so to speak. It's like a finite kind of energy within us. And actually, every time, I mean, there's like lots of scientific research on this now, but like every time you resist a temptation, your willpower tank like drops. Like imagine it as a gas tank, like some gas gets burnt off of that. So it goes down, right? So at the end of the day, resisting the cupcake at lunch, resisting buying that thing on the internet, like there's just all these ways in which our willpower muscle is getting fatigued. And then we don't really have it left. We don't have the muscle to lift up the guitar and play. Our tank is empty. I mixed the metaphors there. Sorry about that. But so willpower is cool, but you can't bank on willpower, especially for really long-term goals, like, writing an album's worth of songs. Like, no amount of willpower is really going to get you across that finish line. What it really is mindset. And so that's why this is a long way of saying I really like to separate those two, because if I have the mindset that I'm going to make that, I'm going to write that album. I'm definitely going to write that album. Then I can weather the ups and downs of willpower. Some days I'm not going to feel like it. Some days I literally can't. Stuff happens. Many days in a row, I might not be able to. I mean, so one of the ways that this is a good example is like when I wrote the Bright Nowhere record. I knew I wanted to write a record about my experience with my mom and being her primary caregiver, and her experience with ovarian cancer, stage 3C. But there was no amount of willpower that could make me write those songs while I was her primary caregiver. Like, I didn't have any willpower. All the willpower I had was going to keeping her alive and sorting out her hospital, everything. Just everything. I was running her life. I was making the decisions about how she should live. So, but I had a mindset that I was going to write that record, but I didn't know when. And actually, in the end, it took me multiple years to write it. And I wrote songs and then wouldn't write anything for years. And then I would write some more songs and then not write anything for years. So there's no willpower did not make me write that record. Mindset did. The belief that I could write it, and the belief that I would. So willpower is like this thing. It's like, you know, drinking it's like a Gatorade. It's like a bottle of Gatorade that you get every morning when you wake up. And as you go through the day, like you're taking little sips of it and it's disappearing. By the end of the day, you don't have much left. That's why sleep is so important. But mindset is this bigger belief. And in my case, a very consciously created belief that I was going to I'm going to do this thing. And that's my mindset. And I'm going to keep doing it no matter if I haven't picked up my guitar in a year and a half. That's how mindset is different from willpower. And, obviously, I hope you can see really clearly that, like, depending on the goal, take your pick. I need to sit down and practice my scales for an hour. I'm probably using willpower to do that. Maybe a little bit of mindset to, like, yes, why am I doing that? Because of this larger goal. But, you kind of toggle back and forth with them depending on the project you're doing and depending on what's going on in your life. And I guess the question is, like, where in your life, if you haven't been successful, however you define that, reaching a goal or getting to some outcome that you want, the one place to look is, is there too much willpower? Are you relying too much on willpower? Can you bring some more mindset, a change in mindset to it? And that may help.